Republican Congressman Thaddeus McCotter spoke at a Tea Party in New Hampshire. He joins us live. Good evening, Congressman. And why are you speaking at a Tea Party in New Hampshire? I went back to a little research. You got 22 in your home state. Why did you go to New Hampshire?
Well, I also went to Plymouth, Michigan, which is in my district, earlier today. In fact, one of the things that we have to do as Republicans is continue to go out and show that we are, again, listening to the people, that we are going to follow the principles that we put forward, and go out and actively engage with the Tea Party members to see if we can, in fact, attract and, again, earn their confidence to have a majority.
Okay, but why New Hampshire? I mean, every time any member of Congress or Senate goes to New Hampshire, Iowa, or South Carolina, we all get suspicious. Is there any particular reason? I understand why you would do it in Plymouth, Michigan. That's your state. But why New Hampshire?
Well, I was at the Rhode Island. I went to Rhode Island for the New England Northeast Republican Conference last year, before the election of Senator Brown. And so, as a member of leadership, they asked, would you come back? When I came into Congress in 2002, we had 2 Republican House seats out of New Hampshire. We currently have 0. Both those seats voted for health care. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. We also tend to view New Hampshire as a building block for the party. And as for anything else, it's a really rather silly season. I mean, all of a sudden we're going to have a member of Congress have their plane diverted over Iowa, and they'll be accused of running for president too, I suppose.
Well, the media's always been a rather suspicious lot. Okay. What was the level of enthusiasm up in New Hampshire at the Tea Party movement? Do you have any sort of sense of how many people showed up? And I realize it's so hard to estimate these crowds, but do you have any sort of feel or sense of it?
Well, they were very similar to the one in Plymouth, Michigan. It was larger than the one in Plymouth, Michigan, because it was a larger park. But there are a couple hundred in Plymouth. There's several hundred in New Hampshire, in Manchester. But the mood is, I think, it's a determination to continue to try to reassert and regain what they believe to be their rights, which have been infringed by government. They're very concerned not only about the spending, because it shows how their sovereignty is eclipsed by their government, but more importantly, it's about conserving a cherished way of life. They're definitely very concerned about the course of the country. They're chary, which is why when you get invited to attend a Tea Party as a member of Congress, I suggest that you go so that you can show them that you're listening, that your party is concerned about them, and that we will, again, as Republicans, be worthy of being entrusted with a majority.
Do you find that the Republican Party and the Democratic members of Congress as well are now more interested in talking to the Tea Party? Are they taking it more seriously, the Tea Party movement, in the last couple of weeks, as opposed to, for instance, last fall or last summer?
Well, I think they were taken seriously last fall, but you're right, Greta. As they've continued to persevere in the face of derision, in the face of the defiance of this Democratic Congress and administration to their wishes, they've not buckled. They've actually grown and increased in membership. So what we're going to see now is a continuation of their public protests, but they're also going to engage in more traditional political activity.
I was stunned at how at these town hall meetings last summer, how passionate these people were, members who attended it, and it was it was interesting how the media was rather dismissive of it, and some people were actually insulting.
Yes, it was one of the saddest things was to see people in government, people in elective office, people in the media, yourself obviously not included, the way that they derided them for simply peaceably assembling to petition government for the redress of grievances. One of the problems that occurs that is so unfair to the Tea Party movement is that it infringes on the narrative of the left. The left believes that only members from the Liberal Party or the Democratic Party can come forward and take to the streets in public protest. That is their storied, romanticized past. So when conservatives actually go about doing it, they don't know what the liberals don't know what to do about it, and they tend to do it lash out at it.
Congressman, thank you, sir.